Alright, today got another good lesson for you guys. Talking about, I always have a weird way of naming these, so don't pay too much attention. Called it hand for some reason. Well, the reason is that these terms have hand in it, and I'm going to talk about what they mean. You might know, as I always say, but I want you to nail it, I want you to get an A+, so you really know how to use this. I hate when non-native speakers aren't really committed to knowing the full use of the term and they use it wrongly. So I'm going to get into some ways that some people use it incorrectly and whatnot and how to fix that. So first one, second hand. You probably know that means somebody else owned it first and then you got it. Often it's things that you buy, right? So it could be something like a car that they sell secondhand cars because let's face it, cars are pretty expensive. And a lot of people either can't afford a car, like a new car, or they just don't want a new car. I mean, they don't want to pay for a new car, even if they could afford it, because they're not that rich. Or maybe they just have like a $30,000 budget for a car, which is not too bad, and they say, instead of getting a new car, I wouldn't mind getting a secondhand car, because then I can get a better car. Even, you get a higher quality car because you're paying less given that someone else has used the car, they've driven the car. So we say secondhand for that. Houses, we never say secondhand for, never. Even though most people, or a lot of people, they don't buy a new house. Maybe somebody else lived in that house, but it's not called a secondhand house. Now, I guess, I don't want to say poor people, but people with less money or people that just really don't care, they buy secondhand clothes or even some rich people do just for fun. But the point is, secondhand is used sometimes it's not, but it's someone else has had it. And it doesn't only mean one person has had it and then you got it. It just means it's used. People have used it before you, they've owned it before you. Cell phones. Most people that I know don't buy, that I see here anyway, don't buy used cell phones, but some people do, secondhand. This is a term that was used, a hand-me-down. It's a term that was used a lot. I remember my grandmother talking about this before, and I think it was when, there wasn't so much stuff. Now there seems to be a lot of stuff and it's cheaper, so you don't have to worry too much about hand-me-downs. But back 50, 60 years ago or whatever, clothing was not that cheap. So imagine a family in the US and Canada, they weren't that rich. Maybe they had 3 kids, and when kids are growing, they obviously need to get bigger and bigger clothing as they grow. So if you've got like an older brother and a younger brother, then, the older brother, when he outgrows the clothes, gives and the younger brother hates this, but they give the mother will take the new clothes from the older brother, and when the younger brother gets to be that same size, gives them the clothes, and it's called a hand-me-down. So it's just for clothing, from, at least in all the examples I can think of, just for clothing. So it's like secondhand from somebody usually in your family. You just give it to them when it's their, when they've grown up to get into that size. And I just, you know what used is? Used is just someone else has used it. Again, never say it with houses, even if someone's used it. Just stuff like, cars against. Used and secondhand, you can always say together. So anyway, check out the site, learnenglish232.com. I'm going to have better examples up there. Don't forget.